Hi everyone, and welcome to my Astro Magic series. And today I'm talking about working with altars. So, what is an altar? So, it's a sacred, private, and deeply devotional practice. It's a spiritual dialogue. It's a great way of connecting the physical with the spiritual. And it's also a sacred, dedicated space. It's used for ritual and worship to honor specific intentions, ancestors, or deities. And I want to reassure people now, for those of you who might feel this is a bit spooky or a bit woo, it's so natural to connect with spirit in this way. It's been done for thousands of years, and it doesn't have to be something scary. It can be something really beautiful and simple as well. If you're a collector of things, then you're already halfway there because the altar is very much lots of different collections of things that you then add to it over time. And the goal is really to connect with your own subconscious, but also collective energies. We live in a very hyper individualistic world where we're often kind of encouraged to just go it alone and be by ourselves. But we are humans, we are supposed to connect with each other. And by having a altar, you can connect with those energies and just feel more part of this world rather than feeling so disconnected. So this is a planetary focus rather than a religious one. So I'm not talking about religious altars here. I'm talking about spiritual ones. And when we talk about astrology, we often are speaking about the planet. So you could choose a planet that you're drawn to, or you could look at your specific natal chart and think about which planet in your chart that you want to work with. It could be your exalted sun in Aries and you want to reconnect with your identity and your sense of self. Or it could be a more difficult or challenging planet that you find hard to access or to understand. And when we choose those challenging planets, that's very much about doing the shadow work and it's very much about healing. But that's going to be down to you and your own reasons for wanting to do an altar. So I'm going to talk to you now about what I've been experiencing over the last year or so to give you an understanding of how this can show up in practice. And yeah, I've got a year's worth of data and evidence to prove that it definitely does work. And when I first started, it's not that I was skeptical, I just didn't know what to expect. And it's been way more than I ever could have imagined. So I just want to start off first of all by giving a shout out to Heloise. She's an astrologer that I first met when I was on Astro Twitter, and she's amazing. I'm going to drop her website somewhere after this that you can access it yourself because she has lots of free online guides to setting up altars, working with planetary days, and she also sells beautiful materia and talismans. I've bought beautiful oil off her before where she's consecrated it on an auspicious time. So she uses the transits and the astrology to create these beautiful items. Now, her advice, and this is something, if you only take one thing away from my clip today, is this consistency. It is much better for you to just do 5 minutes every week because we live in a very busy world. You may only have 5 minutes. It's much better for you to do that every week than try and fit in an hour or two here and there just randomly. The planets will reward you quicker and faster, and you'll see results if you are consistent. Now, obviously, I'm autistic, so I love a routine, and it's been easy for me to just kind of get into the rhythm of things. If you find that you're struggling to do that, then it might be good to either set an alarm and a reminder, or think about your week and think about where you've got that spare bit of time, or where you're already doing something and the altar work just naturally fits in with it. So you need to think about the rhythm of the week for yourself. So, like I said, I've been doing this for a year, and it was to tie in specifically with a timing technique called annual perfections, which is essentially it's very simple. It's a timing technique that has both a sign and a planetary lord of the year that changes on your birthday. So last year, I moved into a Mars year. It was an Aries year, and because Aries is ruled by Mars, Mars became my time lord. And when the planet becomes your time lord, I know that sounds like Doctor Who, but when it becomes your time lord, it becomes a very important planet for the year. It gives a very Martian, for me, a very Martian feel. And I was anxious. I was worried about this upcoming Mars year. And the reason why is because before we had a Cancer Mars retrograde. I don't know if you remember the end of 2024, the beginning of 2025. That was difficult. It was my Mars return. And the reason why it was so challenging is because one, when Mars is in Cancer, it's in fall. So it struggles. Mars struggles to perform in the way that it wants to because Mars wants to be direct. It wants to have action now. It wants to move forward. Cancer wants to take its time. It's ruled by the moon. It wants to feel. It doesn't just want to do. And so it can feel difficult. On top of that, I have my Mars in my 12th house. The 12th house is unseen. It's averse to the first house. You can't see it from the ascendant. And so it's a bit of a blind spot. And if I'm being honest, the first half of my life, I really didn't understand my Mars at all. And then thirdly, it went retrograde. And when a planet goes retrograde, even though it doesn't go backwards physically, it slows down to the point that it almost looks like it's going backwards and it's slowing right down. And that can have a real impact on, again, Mars, which wants to be forward, really doesn't do well in the retrograde. So I had three mitigating reasons why I was just like, okay, maybe I need to do this Mars alter before I go into my Mars year, given that I've just had this transit that felt really, really difficult. So what I did is I waited until Mars turned direct in Cancer, and there was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks left before it moved on. And that's when I started my alter. And I've been doing it ever since. And I was doing it a few months before Mars became my Time Lord. So what did I do? I set up my altar with a red cloth, five red candles, dragon's blood incense. I put things on top of the altar that relate to Mars or is an offering to Mars, things that Mars will like. So I put a sharp knife down. I put some dried basil, some dried chili. I think I had some patchouli. I've got some patchouli essential oils on there. And I've also got the Orphic hymn, which I read out every time I do my ritual. Now, this is a collection of 87 ancient Greek hymns that were addressed to various deities and planets, and they were attributed to the mythical poet called Orpheus. And so there's one for Mars, there's one for Jupiter. And another thing that you can do is give a donation to a charity or cause that, again, is related to the planet that you are trying to build this dialogue with. Now, as you know, Mars is the planet of war. It governs violence, destruction, severance. And so it made sense for me to donate to the victims of the Palestinian war, which I've been doing every month since I started this. And it's a really nice way to feel that you are making a difference, but also appeasing that planet. So, what was the lesson that I learned from this? It's really helped me understand my Mars on a deeper level, especially around better burnout management. I've been in cycles and cycles of burnout, not understanding really why that was happening. And what I've realized is because my Mars doesn't want to work in the way that a traditional Mars would if, for example, it was in, I don't know, Leo or Aries, because it's in Cancer, it wants to do things differently. It wants to do things slowly. It wants to be able to feel restorative. So I now know the right kinds of exercises and things that I need to do because Mars is about our physical exertion as well. So I focus more on yoga. I do weights, but then I also do the sauna and the steam room, like engaging with that kind of water element of restoration as well. And I've really got into a great routine and a better, I just feel better aligned with what I'm doing. So again, you need to look at your chart and think about what planet you would like to remediate, and then think about how it shows up in your life. I also asked Mars for courage and to feel more assertive and have more self-confidence. That's why I've been able to come on camera and talk to you about it. Mars has rewarded me with that. And yeah, it's really helped me not see confrontation and conflict everywhere, which is what can happen when your Mars is in fall and in a difficult house. So I would go as far as to say it has been life changing. It's really changed my attitude. But I also have a Venus altar because my Venus is also in fall. So it's in Virgo and it's in the second house, and I've always struggled to access it and understand it. And I'll be honest, when I first saw my chart and read up about Virgo Venus, I was just like, you know. this is really difficult. How am I going to ever work with it? And it's just been so lovely re-engaging with Venus on this level. And so I set it up when Venus was dignified. It was in Taurus last year, and it was a beautiful time to start it because Venus was dignified, it was happy, and it was just a really nice way to kind of kickstart my altar. So again, think about when you'd like to do it. So in terms of the setup, I had white cloth, one white candle, some jasmine incense, and then everything else is just gifts from different females, different friends, and family members. And that's the bit that I really enjoy is adding to it with different pieces of people. So I've got a lovely pearl on there. That's from a bracelet that my mom gave me. I've got some rose petals from a bunch of flowers that my mother-in-law gave me. I've got my beautiful rose quartz crystal given to me by a friend, and loads of other things that's given to me by different women. And yeah, I would definitely say my Venus altar is all about female empowerment and support. I've also got loads of really nice shells and rocks that I've picked up from the beach, so you can really add to it and just yeah, have fun with it. I also donate to Women's Aid because I'm a big advocate of supporting women, especially in violent or abusive relationships. Okay, so what is the lesson that I've learned working with Venus? Well, I've definitely moved to a more refined, understated sense of beauty and how I show up. I've always been into skincare. I've in the past, I have worn makeup. I've never worn it very frequently and I never wear lots of it. But I've really pared that back to just focus on good skincare. And now I just do lashes, liner, lips. But vanity aside, I also have a much better relationship with my sense of self-worth, especially around the value that I place on seeking external validation based on how useful I can be. I think when Venus is in Virgo, there's this tendency to want to be useful, want to be helpful, want to be of service, and decide that determines my self-worth. And I'm slowly unlearning that. And so that in itself has been a really great lesson. And I'm also recording this very video on Venus Day during Venus Hour, and I've just done my Venus altar before recording it. So little things like that, working in tandem with the planets, you do really start to see results. So, are you interested in learning more? Well, I will give you now a little beginner's guide on how you can get started yourself. And the first thing is know why you want to do an altar. So, choose a theme. Is it love? Is it protection? Is it abundance? Is it courage? Or maybe it's one of your big three, your sun, moon, or rising. Maybe you want to remediate a planet in your chart like I did that feels difficult to access or feels challenging. You want to do some shadow work, you want to heal. Find space. Like I said, you don't need anywhere big. It could be the corner of a shelf or a bedside table. It just needs to be somewhere that you won't be disturbed and you can easily access when you want to do your rituals. And then you need to assemble it. And this is super low pressure. You don't need to go out and buy a bunch of things. Cozy lives, no one's got any money. So just be resourceful. You can start off very simple with just a cloth, candles, crystals, and then build from there. You can add over time, which brings me to this cute little chili bottle of Tabasco sauce that I got with my spicy margarita a few weeks ago. And I was like, yep, that's going on my Mars altar. And it's been there. Mars loves heat, it loves chili. So that cute little bottle has been added. So you can do the same. You can start to add whatever you get or whatever you see. I think a red petal flew onto my step and I picked that petal up. And because it was red, I put it on my Mars altar. Like I said before, timing and consistency is key. So it's much better to do 5 minutes a month consistently rather than a random hour here and there when you remember. Also, don't forget to match the day to the planet. So if you're tending to your fallen Scorpio moon, then do that on the moon's day, which is Monday. And if you can't remember, go back and listen to my Planetary Days episode, which tells you all about that. So I've created a really quick guide to help you on your way. So you can download that for free and start your relationship with altars today.